right, Aftershocks Tremors, we're back here with another great episode for you folks. And today we got a real special one. It's not every day we get to talk to a metal band that originated in the Middle East of all places, but we got that today. And from Jordanian threshers, ESODIC, we've got drummer Zed and guitarist Michael with us. Guys, how's everything? Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for featuring us here.
Sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's get right to it, guys. I mean, you guys just put out a guitar playthrough for the track "Undoing." That just came out, I believe, on Ultimate Guitar recently. What a banger of a tune that is, man. I mean,
Thank you.
thrash metal junkies are no doubt could have loved that track, no doubt. So just to start things off, I guess just give us, a brief breakdown of what the band has in the works right now with Undoing and anything, and anything else that's going on. I mean, you guys plan on releasing some more music as well. I mean, just kind of give us all the happenings that's going on in the camp right now with the band.
Right after this release, we're actually in the process of writing a couple more singles that will be lined up to be dropped in the beginning of 2022. And possibly on the lookout for a few local shows, and probably hopping on a tour soon, and just getting more time on the stage, especially in the US, which we haven't gotten the pleasure to tour yet in the US.
Okay, sure. Of course, with the pandemic hitting, that obviously put a stop to all of it as well. Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, like I said, you guys put out the playthrough for Undoing. I mean, the track itself was mixed and mastered by, one of the most sought out studio men in the business right now, in Damien, and he's of course worked with, I know, bands like Dragon Force, and especially what he did a great job on the recent Fear Factory record.
Yes.
And it kind of seems like every 5 years or so we see these new, creative engineers coming out of LA, like Chris Collier, Mayor Applebaum. It looks like Damien is the new one. So talk a bit about why you decided to go with him on this track, and why did you pick him over all the other choices you had out there in LA?
Funny story is actually a couple of years back in the Decibel tour. I was at the show. Was at the Regent. I believe it was Abath, High on Fire, and Skeleton Witch.
Okay.
I was at that show, and I just stepped outside for a smoke, and I literally just bumped into Damien. It was like 2017. And we just randomly met each other at the Regent, had a conversation, and we connected on Facebook after. And then after actually being his friends on Facebook, I realized that what he does for a living, and more because we didn't get a chance to to talk so much at the show, how it is, so how loud it is. So after realizing what he does and listening to samples of his work, at the time he just finished mixing a live album for Dragon Force. It was at the end of 2017, and I happened to have the tracks for ESODIC's first EP titled Mirrors of Disgrace. That EP was recorded originally in Jordan at the studios of the School of Audio Engineering. At the time, nobody had the expertise in Jordan to be able to make a decent mix out of those tracks. So I just held on to those for a few years, and when I resided here, I met Damien and knew what he's capable of. I just hit him up and told him and asked if he would be interested to actually mix and master the record, and he right away said yes. So and he happened to live super close from my apartment at the time, so I just dropped by and I gave him the tracks, which so many people back in Jordan couldn't do anything with them. So he was able to follow through and actually finish that EP, and with the very little in terms of quality in the recording, he was able to make it pop and make it sound good. So I just happened to want to continue working with him in that project, and given of what he did with the EP, so whenever we were done with the production recording, which the production of Undoing was done by Michael and Kevin.
Okay.
And whenever that was done, I just hit up Damien again. And at the time, he already his repertoire was bigger. He already like mixed the new Fear Factory, the new Dragon Force. So like he just keeps getting better at what he does. And I just hit him up, and we passed the tracks to him, and continue to work with him. Like also on a personal level, I enjoy working with him. He's very down to earth, easy to work with. Like whenever he sets a deadline, there's no setbacks. There's like whatever he says, it's whatever he promises, he's gonna like deliver.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that Mirrors of Disgrace EP is pretty damn awesome, man. I will say. I mean, it's a great EP. But let's get Michael now into this discussion here. So, Mike, so how did just I guess start us off? Talk about how you guys kind of connected, both you and Zed, after him moving to LA from Jordan some time ago.
Yeah, so it was through a mutual friend of ours that
Okay.
we started working on a project maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Um, and at the time, I hadn't, you know, ESODIC was kind of a off in the distance. It wasn't like at that time it wasn't the right time for things to come to fruition.
Okay.
And then I started assisting in studios and working in studios, and Zed and I stayed in contact, and the pandemic hit, and he asked if I basically would just want to put some riffs together for just a project, and I was like, hell yeah, like definitely, like let's do something. And so we started working together closely over another project, and he asked if I would also be interested in writing for ESODIC, and I was like, hell yeah, like I love
Mhm.
thrash. I'm from the Bay Area,
Okay.
so just the culture of Exodus and Slayer, and of course like Metallica and
Hmm.
all that runs deep still in the Bay Area.
Sure. Hmm.
And it's almost just like in your bones,
No,
at that point.
yeah, I live up here, so yeah, I know what
Oh,
you mean. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what part are you in?
I'm in the East Bay in San Lorenzo over here. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gary
But
Holt.
you're right, though. It still is relevant here as it has been for, like I said, since it started back in the 80s. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just it was just another thing where it just felt natural,
Mhm.
and I've always loved working with Zed, and one of the reasons is there's a clear vision for the projects and for even the songs, um and coming from a place like Jordan where it's maligned to be a part of any alternative culture,
Mhm.
even more so metal cultures. It's akin to Satanism there, from what I understand.
Sure.
And
Mhm.
uh the the government, the actual government itself, like doesn't play nice with metal. And so when it came to this band that survived under that kind of pressure and still wanted to continue and thrive, it was no question. And like one of the, I guess, main themes and things that I've tried to do with Undoing, and I am going to continue doing with the writing, is trying to capture that kind of like frustration and anger in the songs, because that's where like underground music thrives the most. It's
Sure.
when there is all this pressure. That's why there was a huge, punk scene in the 80s, the Bay Area, like a lot of bands coming out of the East Bay. The East Bay also has a lot of like, Machine Head, like,
Right, exactly. Yep.
like a lot of like economic pressures, and that's the sound of what happens when that societal pressure is there. So it's it's been an honor. It's been an honor working on this project and continuing such a legacy of basically resistance. And I'm very excited to continue.
Awesome.
Sure, definitely. Now, Zed, I want to piggyback off what Michael just said here for a minute, just because there's a perception here in the States, and I know it's probably wrong, but the perception is that anything that goes on in the Middle East musically is the chanting Allah Akbar stuff that we in bad terror movies, and that's it. And that anything that stretches away from that into Western pop culture is literally attacked by government and by the religious sects that have a lot more power than they do here in the United States. So talk a little bit about the truths and the realities of it. Is it when you started, was it dangerous to make this music? Could you have been jailed for this kind of music, or had problems with, neighborhoods and religious centros?
As a matter of fact, actually, me and the ex-members of the band were detained multiple of times, just because of being in a band, just because of just having long hair, wearing black, and like throwing out gigs. It was like just going out on the street, you get harassed by cops because you don't look stereotypical like everybody else. Just having long hair, wearing black, just right away, right off the bat, you will be labeled as a Satanist, even if like you're not even involved. There's no even freedom of religion or freedom of thought in general. So we would like organize, like for example, we would organize a gig, and then like when it comes to bands, just to back up a little bit, when it comes to bands, there are bands that play all sorts of metal all over the Middle East, from from Morocco to Egypt to even Saudi Arabia to Dubai to Kuwait. You will find metal all over. The thing is that like lots of us couldn't have open shows, and whenever we start to get comfortable and we start to book bigger shows and start to have a bigger draw to our shows, that's when like the Central Intelligence Department would raid the show, lock the show up, and the thing is they would know that we are organizing a show, so they would let us book the venue, rent the gear, print the flyers, tickets, and put all those down payments to make the show happen. And then when people are lined up in front of the venue and they're about to enter, that's when they shut us down. So this way, all the money, all the deposits that we already put down for the show and everything is already gone. So it's like some way of teaching us a lesson to never do that again.
Wow.
So that was a struggle, and it got to the point where we couldn't do any shows like for like a couple of years. So that's when we decided to just go into the studio and just start writing, and that's when we did the Mirrors of Disgrace EP, because that was like another way of being productive, because we were like more of a live band back then, and we just wanted to play live as much shows as we can, and we were not even super concerned about the studio back then. But like whenever that was shut down, so that's when we entered the studio again. And even the pressure extended to the point that like the ex-members, the older frontman and the two guitarists have already have chosen like a different path in life when it comes to music. Like it's not like they're the core of their focus as it was, 15-20 years ago when
Sure.
when everything was going. And none of us is in Jordan anymore right now, but like
Okay.
I'm the only one in the in the band that's still like pursuing that, pursuing music and like continuing on with the band and like trying to put things out and like take the band to the next level.
Sure. Do you feel, and Michael, you can jump in on this as well. Do you feel that the sound itself has changed? Because, it's one thing to have the pressure that you were under when you started. It's another thing to try to write about that, especially if you didn't specifically experience it. So do you feel like ESODIC has changed stylistically and musically because you're the environment that you're writing in, both the people and the climate has changed around you?
Honestly, it did change, but the blessing that I have right now is being able to collaborate with Michael and Kevin, which are brilliant musicians slash producers that are able to like listen to to the material and understand the formula that we were trying to achieve when we started the band, and they knew how to tap into that. For me, in order to like keep it fresh with like when it comes to concepts that frustrate me and anger me, I force myself to kind of like follow the news back there, and like that's enough for me to just kind of get like fired up and wanting to write about this and that, and like the all the misogyny and all the cultural issues that happen there, and like the how brainwashed people are, and how like nobody questions authority and all those kind of things. So like I keep my eye open, and there's lots of people on social media from Jordan right now that speak out for like about like the socially what happens on the street every day. Like there's no gigs anymore, like since I left, like 2008 was the last time we actually threw a gig there, and now like nothing's happening there. There's nobody that's trying again to like bring back the scene, because it was on and off, but then like it was only off after 2008.
I'm curious, what do you think, and this really doesn't have anything about music, but just hearing this, it's surprising. What do you think when you hear so many people here in America whining about things that are probably super insignificant compared to what you've lived through? Shit like, oh, well, this comedian said words that were hurtful, or this, stuff like that. I mean, you've been through the real world shit. And to hear people losing their minds over some comedian said something that some group doesn't like, you have to look at that and just shake your head, no?
Yeah, especially being in Los Angeles, which is the center of the cancel culture.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, it's hard, for people here to see things from that perspective, unless you have to. That's why I encourage everybody and everyone to travel and to just go and like if anywhere that you're curious about. Get exposed to how people eat, how people meet each other, how people pray, how people have sex. Even like it's every country is different, every culture is different, and that's what opens your mind and makes you appreciate like just the fact that I can walk down to Guitar Center and just buy a drum kit, that easy, just because I can go on Amazon and order like the most aggressive anti-Christian record in the world and just have it delivered to my doorstep without going to jail is such a privilege. Like it's something that you couldn't do there, like obtaining a record. It was hard. Like we had to use torrents, we had to download music, although I wish I could have supported the bands that I loved growing up, but the best thing I could have done was like actually go and download music, and that's how we were able to share music back there. There were some record stores here or there that are hidden that we go and like buy bootlegs and like copied cassette tapes back in the day. But like those were like it was a dangerous place to go to, to go and like buy a cassette tape from there. Like you might get like locked up and questioned for like, what are you doing there? Why do you want this music? It's quite comedic how you get detained and how the kind of questions that you get asked, because like those people are absolutely ignorant. Like one time I was we were questioned, and they were asking about Satanism, and I was like just trying to explain that we do that's not our concept, that's not what we write about. And at the end of my when I was detained, at the end I was told that the most important thing that we want out of you is to not get into politics. And I was like, okay, that's it. But but the funny thing is that if they call themselves intelligent, all they need to do is to go to Google and type ESODIC lyrics, and then all our lyrics are about politics. We that's all we write about the situation in Iraq, the situation in Palestine, the situation, all of those issues. We write about them. We write about like the perspective of the words towards them, and the perspective of the street towards those issues. And it was funny, and actually one time I laughed, and I got beaten up for laughing at towards at a statement like that, like.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I've traveled all over the world. I was in the military, so I literally have been everywhere, and I've been to the Middle East. I've been to Iraq and Qatar and Kuwait and whatnot. And I tell people all the time, you don't know, people that complain about things here is you don't know true fear until you land at an airport and everybody surrounded you is armed and ready to shoot you. If you don't open your suitcase the right way, if you don't pull your passport out the right way, if you don't pull your ID, they will put a bullet in your head. And it's hard to explain that because we're so used to, hey, don't fuck with me while I'm drinking my latte. We're so used to that we can't even imagine the realities of the other world. Dude, bravo to you for carrying on this music when you literally could have, the government could have just as easily put a bullet in your head and had you disappear and never tell anybody just because you were doing something that they didn't approve of. And, that's a lot more. That says a whole lot more as far as your strength and the strength of what you wanted to do than guys that complain because they got a blown tire on their minivan driving from San Jose to LA. I mean, it's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. It's a complete different way of life, and I am always and forever will be grateful to be in Los Angeles and being able to like do what I want to do and not get any person get in my business or try to discourage me, or all I've seen here is just people who are trying to support, trying to be part of the process. Which is something I'm very grateful towards.
Sure, no doubt. I mean, we could talk about this all day, but I will say just one more question about keeping the name. Coming to moving to the States and still keeping the ESODIC name instead of starting over with a whole new name. I mean, did you want to do that because of all those earlier struggles you had to endure? Obviously, while you were, back home. I mean, does that name also represent just sort of the resiliency that you had to have in order to get to where you are today? Is that why you also decided to come to the States and keep that name instead of just maybe joining another band and starting fresh?
Yeah, honestly, I ever since I joined the band, I was 15, 16 years old when I first joined the band. It was like a dream come true because I was like, wow, I found a band here, so now I'm gonna be part of a band. So I'm not gonna be just jamming with my high school middle school buddies, playing just Metallica and Nirvana on the weekends, and so now it was like something serious, and there's original songs and all that. So I was fixated on this is what I want to do, and this band is gonna end up on those stages in those European festivals. So that was what I was focused on, and with time, not everybody in the band with all the cultural constraints and how life turned for everybody. Everybody has we got to a certain crossroads that the original members just have chosen a different path in life and focus on different things, and and I tried to continue the journey with them, and that was a struggle for a couple of years when I first moved out here. In fact, actually, we performed at Metal Days Festival in Tolmin, Slovenia, in right before the pandemic, 2019, and that was with one of our original members, Marwan, which was our lead guitarist. And after meeting in Europe, after like being away from each other for like about 4 years, the plan was to get me getting back here, and then we get back on that horse and start riding. But I am like that's the focus of my life here, is to actually just make this happen. Like, so that everything I do is around making sure to push this music forward. So like I would expect like a little bit of I would expect people to work with me to be kind of prompt. So like I pushed until it got to the point where we had to just go our separate ways. And it took a while until I actually like was able to was able to actually reach out to Michael and ask if he would be interested in like joining ESODIC and actually riding with me. And that was a pleasure from the get-go. Like, it was, everything's moving so smooth. There's like, we never argued about anything. We can agree on things, and things like happen like in such a cohesive way. And I'm like super grateful about that. And also on the other hand, me and Michael also are involved in another project that will be revealed in the beginning of next year. This is something that we started from the ground up. It's mostly concepts that Michael had come up with, and I put some of my input into it. And we have an EP and a single for a modern black metal project that will be revealed also next year. That's something that we are super excited about. That's like that we're putting lots of work into. And yeah, if maybe Michael would like to talk more about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. But I actually wanted to jump back to ESODIC a bit, because oh my gosh, maybe a few minutes ago we were having the topical conversations about everything, and I think that's something that going forward we are keeping in mind more. The how can I put it? I guess when we did Undoing, the content in the lyrics was very like, like spur of the moment, like this is what's coming to mind, this is what we're writing. But recently, like after Undoing is released, we've took like a step back on our more recent like writing session, and we kind of thought like, okay, like this is great, but what what is this sound, what is this evolving into, and what can this be? And this is the song we're currently writing for ESODIC, is the first song that Kevin's been involved in the writing process. Kevin's our bassist, and he's comes from background of Florida death metal. So that's been a great I guess backbone to anchor on, is knowing that okay, the next releases for ESODIC, I really want to capture the like frustration and anger that's still, because of what's still occurring in the Middle East, and you can even like sum up around the world, but in the Middle East more or less. And so it was also taking a step back lyrically too, and because a lot of ESODIC's, or all of ESODIC's lyrics prior to Undoing are politically topical, based on what's going on in the Middle East and stuff. And it was, and I think very important to be able to tell those stories, even if it's from here, even if it's from the US, and maybe we can filter it in a way that's even more like focused and concentrated. So going forward, I think the next releases for ESODIC are going to be a lot more, I guess, like on the ball with what the sound is and what the feeling and sentiment is for the band. I'm very excited.
Awesome. Yeah, no, sounds great, man. Well, I mean, talk just real quick and last question. I mean, so now you've got the single out.
Yeah.
I guess that you've got so you're pushing on. Obviously, you said you've got some other you already got, like you said, all these other songs written for an EP coming up. Is I mean, what's I guess the the quote unquote ideal plan now for the band? Are you going to continue to maybe just release a track or so until then and put out a video so for it and sort of wait maybe till live music comes up so you can finally tour? Obviously, just do something you haven't obviously done yet. I mean, so just give us, I guess, a brief, rundown of what is the ideal plan now going forward for ESODIC.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I think like currently we're just trying to write like at this moment, and when opportunities come up and present themselves for shows, like we'll take them.
Okay.
But at the moment, I'm, I produce and I write a lot more,
Okay.
so that's my strength and my strong point.
Mhm.
So as far as releasing, we're unsure yet if it's going to be, write and complete a catalog of songs and then pick like the best 5,
Okay.
or that seems to, we'll have to discuss and see. Because there's also the benefit of writing and releasing, and always like having a stream of content is always good too.
Mhm.
But at the moment, I think our current focus is for ESODIC is to really dial in the sound, both as we're writing and for performance and live, and just kind of fine tune the machine more or less.
Sure, right? Because this is the first track you guys together have released, right?
Yeah.
Correct? Because like you said,
Correct.
Yes.
the previous material was all done when you were in Jordan. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Sounds great. Yeah.
So I would like to thank you so much for featuring us. It's a pleasure and definitely a privilege to be able to talk about what we do as artists. This is a complete new era for the band that looks like it's gonna be way more promising than back in the day. The frustration will be now in the art much more than in the process. So we are excited about that, and we look forward to the future, and we look forward to having another chat with you after our next release.
Absolutely, yes. The band is ESODIC. The song is Undoing. And guys, just also real quick, why don't you just go ahead and tell the viewers and listeners where they could check out the band and check out the video and so forth, the playthrough and everything.
The playthrough is available on our channel. You can check us out on YouTube/ESODIC. If you can shoot us a follow on Instagram at ESODIC Official. We are also on Facebook at Facebook/ESODIC, and our official website is www.esodic.com. Everything you need to know about us, and also on our website you can it will redirect you to listen to the music on Amazon, on Spotify, on Deezer, on and all streaming platforms.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right, guys, once again, the band's ESODIC. Undoing is the track, and guys, great chatting with you. We'll definitely have you back on. Stay in touch.
Thank you
guys.
All right, guys. Awesome.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks for everything.